Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Musings of Star Anish. Yes, here we are, 4 days later. 4 days? 5 days? Okay, whatever, you got the point. How many ever days later? We are here. How did the digital detox go? First of all, let's understand what the digital detox is. The larger goal was to get a detox from uh, stimulation of all kinds, dopamine cut off, which involve looking at images, reading, which is very difficult because you get to read a lot of things on a daily basis, news, whatnot, text messages, whatever. So the original idea of a dopamine detox is to reduce things that are going in, reduce feelings and stimulations that are going in, and instead focus on the stuff that can be created in your head and that can come out. A complete dopamine detox is very difficult for a beginner. So what I chose to do instead is be cut off from all kinds of digital mediums. So the digital medium for me is mostly my phone and my laptop. What was off on the phone was WhatsApp. Nothing, completely disconnected from both network and data. Instagram uninstalled, Facebook uninstalled, Facebook Messenger uninstalled. What else went sideways? Yeah, so that's what went out of the phone. And also the phone was itself put in one of these do not disturb modes where these apps don't have permissions, because although I disabled WhatsApp from connecting to internet, it would still say that you may have new messages. So that notification kept popping up every now and then. So it was Google's digital well-being app to the rescue, where I completely blocked off all these things from even doing any kind of notifications at all. What happened during the detox? Out of the 4 days, the first 2 days was fuck mind-boggling. Lot of breakthroughs happened. So that whole idea of stop putting stuff into your head, but start digging stuff from your head and putting them out there. That kind of happened in like moments of epiphany. So it was like where I had to like sit down and write these things down so that I don't forget them. And I kind of had to like keep remembering how that point of clarity happened, and had to write it down as vividly as I can so that I remember that point, remember that feeling the next time when I do get to sit and work on whatever clarity I got. The third day onwards, it was a lull. It was mostly me trying to figure out, like, oh, when is this going to get over, and when am I going to be back on the grid, and what are the things I missed. Uh, but yeah, the fourth day again, I kind of pulled back on it and I said, no, the point of that, which is Sunday, the point of me being out of this is to be out of it, not wait to get back into it. What did I do in all of this free time? Well, if you go back to an older, much earlier vlog of mine, I've shown you my living condition, which is this particular room that I speak out of. Was very bad in terms of stuff being everywhere, in terms of um, just it being clogged, just like how my head is. So the first 2.5, 3 days was all about clearing the space out, making a lot of clearing a lot of clutter which I don't need anymore, which is part of a really old part of my life which is not required anymore. So just going through everything and just clearing everything out. Whatever is unwanted just got chopped out, rearranged a little bit of the room so that I get more space at this place, more space to work out indoors, more space to probably set up my trainer and do more indoor riding, and more space because if it starts raining heavily every second or third day, then when the lab does open back up after the lockdown, I need more space where I can sit and work, fix bikes where the rain doesn't bother. The wash area right now is bothered by rain, which is okay because all you do is wash, but to sit and assemble it, that's not the ideal space. So yeah, it was mostly just that. Now, why does all of this come into play is because the way the phone and all of the social media shit works is it doesn't let you get bored. Yeah, every time you get bored, there's immediately a distraction, and there's a very crucial part of a crucial outcome of getting bored. which is where, let's say for example, if I'm trying to write something, I look at the screen and then I just sit and stare, and I get bored because I'm not doing anything. And then that is when uh, you know I start making connections about what paragraph was I going to write, what was it related to, and is there a previous experience in my life which helps me understand this particular paragraph better, and then I get to type. That's how boredom kind of works. And with a phone around, with all this digital media around, as soon as you start getting bored, you pick up the phone and then there's a distraction. Boom, you don't get that moment where you're thinking within your head. You're always just accumulating information, assuming it is true, not processing it, and just letting it go into your head. Which is what also happens with reading sometimes, depending on what you're reading. If you're reading a fantasy novel, then there's a lot of processing that happens inside your head, where you kind of talk to yourself and like, hey, but then it says blue flower, what kind of blue is it? All of that thought process comes into your head, and therefore reading becomes a successful journey. So what happened to me was I realized that the current stage of my life where there is no consulting business going on because everything is dead. All the restaurants are closed, and even if they're open, they don't give a shit about getting a customer into their store. It's all parcels and all that. So what I did for a living was ensuring that customers came into your cafe or restaurant for things apart from just the food. And since that is closed, yes, and there are a few bikes that I can service, but then most of the bikes lying around here do not have parts, and that part shortage is of the larger crisis. So there's really nothing going on for me at this point. So I was hoping that the digital detox will help me figure out how do I overcome this challenge. What is the way forward for me? So all of that will happen only if I have time to talk to myself. But with the phone around and with all this Instagram bullshit happening, you don't get to talk to yourself. So I did talk to myself very well, and I did write down what I was talking about to myself. Um, and one of the most profound things that I realized that is from a child, from when I was a child, the strongest thing that I've had in my life is my imagination. Yeah, that's like the most uh, rooted, grounded emotion in my head, which is my imagination. And it is manifested in many ways. It is manifested in arts, crafts, writing, speech, all of that shit, and even this whole thing right now. So I realized that imagination is what uh, is probably the best way for me to get out of this situation, or start something new. Um, and Yeah, so the biggest, the strongest epiphany is that I go back to my imagination to find my answers, and I did find my answers. I found one really good answer about how I can handle the situation as it comes along. And the most important thing for me to uh, work this out is that whole this whole thing is going to be a little independent of the outcome. I just realize that that whatever results I'm looking for is not going to happen immediately, but then I still do it, and that's kind of how you start new things. So what is this new thing that I keep talking about? That you will find out tomorrow. But for people who ask me questions on texts and personal correspondences after this whole thing is over about uh, what did you do with all your extra time? I didn't have a lot of extra time. I did a lot of manual labor where there's things that involve my hand, and which means the hand and legs, and then which means that I'm going to be tired at the end of the day. And I'm not, since I don't have the phone, I'm not going to scroll through shit and waste time and not be sleeping. So most of my free time that I got was spent in cleaning up things and moving stuff around, drilling holes, making shelves, shit like that got done. So I didn't really have a lot of free time, but that little free time when I did find little temptations and when nothing new was coming to my head, which was on the third day, I kind of just fell back on everything and I said, hey, let's just go back into physical labor, working out, exercise, which will help me to recalibrate. So yeah, there's even if there is some free time, you got to spend it with yourself inside your head. You don't like look for diversions. You just focus inward, and then you'll find your answers, and then you'll realize that you don't really have a lot of free time because you're away from the phone. That being said, this shit has become 10 minutes long, and I'm not going to edit this. More questions, if you have any, leave them in the comment, and stay tuned to find out what is this new epiphany that I've had, and how it's going to materialize, and how my whole imagination thing is going to like save me from sinking, so to speak. See you guys tomorrow.